Hello everyone. As promised, here is my take and explanation of the Gateway Process by Robert Monroe. As you may or may not know, the Monroe Institute was established by a person named Robert Monroe in an effort to help the American spies combat an unorthodox way of spying by the Russians during the end of the Cold War. The Russians were desperate. Russian power was a myth. They were parading empty shells of missiles down the streets to show how much power they had. In fact, they were called demonstrations, and I was lucky enough to have been in St. Petersburg while some of these were still going on towards the late 80s. I remember it vaguely, but I do remember tanks. Lucky for me, they didn't have any bullets in them, or shells. Russians were desperate, like I said, and they were using unconventional means of spying on the Americans. Unconventional meaning pseudo-scientific. And an entire country was hell-bent on doing this, and they were successful to the point where actual American spies caught wind of this and started to find a way to battle this. There was a man named Robert Monroe that had uncontrollable outer-body experiences. He'd be on a bus, and all of a sudden he would pop out of his body and watch himself from above. Obviously made him very uncomfortable, very nervous, and inadequate. So he decided to make a way, or a system rather, to control these things. A system he created that revolves around something called binaural beats. Binaural beats are tones and frequencies, actually. Both are the same and yet not. So a tone can be high or low in pitch, which is the vibrational speed at which it comes out. On top of that, you could also raise the actual vibrations, which are hertz, that it comes out as. So the human brain can synthesize or can perceive everything from about, I believe, 7 to 15,000 hertz. Above that is a dog whistle, and below that is a low hum, a very low hum. The reason he's doing this is because he realized that synchronizing your two hemispheres would be an easier way for you to experience things that are unnatural. Because normally, one of the sides of our brain gives orders to the other one. So predominantly it's our left side of the brain giving orders to the right. Obviously there's exceptions to everything, but let's just stick with the common because most of us are right-handed, and those that aren't, they just flip it over. So your left side is your logical side, mathematics, straight lines, rules, and your right side is more artistic, creative, music, all that stuff. And the left side, logically, gives orders to the right. In this sense, you can listen to certain tones in your ears, and for which you need stereo headphones. Before I get into that, there's two types of Hertz music, HZ. There's Hertz music that work with your body on a cellular level, and with the use of cymatics. I don't know if you've ever seen the video on cymatics, you should check it out right on YouTube. And it's basically a music video, and it displays how water or liquid is affected by sound in different ways. And actually not just water, electricity, fire, all the things. Because sound is vibration, and it's quite strong because there's something called a sound cannon where you could shoot a pulse of sound and actually destroy things that are solid. Water can do the same thing over time. It could break through rocks. So those two things, two forces, if you will, rather water is more of an entity than a force, but still, can have a huge effect on the human consciousness and brain. Our brain can normally not synthesize certain tones. For instance, it cannot synthesize what 1 hertz sounds like because we simply can't perceive it. However, if you play 2 separate tones in your ears, let's say, for example, I'm playing 100 hertz in my right ear and 103 in my left, the difference between those two things can be synthesized by your brain. What you'll do is you'll hear 2 separate tones, and then as you listen to it, you'll realize that you can control the vibrato of the tones simply by thinking about it. It's easier to explain if you're actually listening to them. So download any kind of binaural beats. There's actually a great app called Brain EQ, Brain Equalizer, that's free. I think it's like $4 or $8 to pay for the whole thing forever. And I recommend that because it's much more in detail as to what you can do. There's different types of binaural beats as well. There's binaural, there's mononeural, there's isochronic. And then there's just white noise on this app. So When you start controlling that vibrato is when your brain starts becoming synchronized, something called hemispheric synchronization. Now, Tibetan monks and people of high meditation culture can achieve this, but it takes much longer, and they also use sounds in the form of Tibetan singing bowls, crystal, metal, whatever. They ring two bowls and you get the vibrato between the two tones. He created something called the gateway process. The gateway process is a way for regular human beings that have meditated before, but not a lot. Let's just say a regular type of guy, or maybe someone that never even has meditated before, to be able to achieve this hemispheric synchronization state much faster and much easier and without much practice. It's a shortcut, yes, but a shortcut still demanding discipline and determination. What is it about? Well, as it turns out, the human brain is much more capable than we've believed before, and probably some of you believe now. And on top of that, the top scientists in this field still have lots of ground to cover. It makes astral projection much more possible, if not easier. It makes you in tune with your higher self and communication with your higher self, to the point where you can actually do something called remote viewing. Once I get to 1,000 here and I'm able to go live, I will be able to do remote viewing sessions with all of you. You don't have to listen to binaural beats. Some people are more adept than others at this, as I have done these experiments before with much success, but only with certain folks. What is remote viewing? Remote viewing is a way of seeing a geographical location on this planet without actually being there physically. Even if you've never been there before, you could perceive everything that's happening in real time from the comfort of your couch or your bed. You have to practice how to do this, and it takes a while to snap into outer body projection, and it's very difficult in terms of not a lot of people actually get to that point, and I believe it's simply because of discipline. Whenever someone asks me for help, assistance, or anything like that, I always start with a small task that they could complete once a day for a week. Most of the people don't complete it because if they wouldn't be asking for help if they had discipline to do it themselves. But it's in an effort of trying to show them and explain to them that that's all you need. Like I said, there's a lot of people that go extensively into this, so I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what that is. You can find these tapes on YouTube. The first and second sessions are available for free. The rest, if you want them, you could hit me up and I will be able to give you the documents. I'm not going to give them to you for nothing, but I'm also not going to necessarily charge you money for them, depending upon what you have to offer. And that's simply because when I first gave them out for free, the person who was kind enough to give me the files has taken them off, because a lot of people, I believe, were just, they didn't really want to do them, they just wanted to have them. And they are a $400 value, or if not more, so that's why I'm kind of pumping the brakes on that, unfortunately. The gateway orientation process is a way for you to establish and confirm the fact that there's a lot more going on than this physical reality that we perceive. In fact, our brain, for the most part, tries to keep us safe by letting us not see and not experience things we normally would had it not have been. For example, we have blind spots in our peripheral vision, all of us, because our optic nerve into the back, when it goes into the brain there, has a small gap where it blocks the vision. So we, right around here, have a blind spot. You could do this test with 2 dots on a paper. As you pull away, the dots will disappear. Normally, you don't see those, right? You're looking around, everything, you don't have blind spots as you can be aware of, but your imagination creates and it fills in that small gap with whatever it thinks is there, which I believe is also a reason for why you sometimes see something move out of the corner of your eye, but then you look and it's not there. But you're sure that it moved. You're not stupid, you're not crazy, it has. I believe that there are entities that are always around us, in different dimensions, different spectrum of light, in this dimension, and in alternate realities that we cannot understand. Now, this isn't the multiverse theory, because apparently in the multiverse theory you can't communicate with the other realities you create, or anyone else, but they still exist. For every choice you make, the alternate choice still exists, as if you never made that choice. This is not like that. This is in this world where you live, I live, but the veil that's been pulled over by us, not the government, by anything, nothing other than your own brain trying to keep you safe. Fear, for instance. Why do we feel fear? Fear is an ancient instinct of self-preservation. because the paranoid survive. If little Danny wanted to go hug that weird creature with stripes and big teeth that sits behind the bush because he didn't know what it was and got eaten by the tiger, Johnny, that was paranoid of everything, ran away and lived. Well, Peter did not. The same aspect is this. The brain, whenever you have an out-of-body experience, and we all do while we're sleeping, we just don't remember, doesn't think that you can process it. So it'll put you on a plane or give you the instance of falling, and right before you hit your body, you wake up. It's because you were having an out-of-body experience and you're actually going back into your physical body, hence the fall. You do have to have discipline, and you do have to do it more than once, and you're not going to be able to do it overnight. Now, I'm saying this generally because some people can, but granted, you're not one of those people, and neither am I. Let's just leave it at that. And if you are, you'll be pleasantly surprised. What can you do with this? Well, other than the fact that you can see places in the world that you've never seen before, you can also heal parts of your body and have your body speak to you. So what you do is everything starts with imagination, much like flight, human flight, like airplanes, and space travel. Anything, a song, started with imagination, and then it became into reality as the person manifested it, as in putting it down on paper, creating an airplane or a rocket. Same thing here. It does start with your imagination. But the more vivid and the more you believe in what you're imagining, the more and quicker it'll become real, and you'll be able to use it. Through these gateway processes, you are taught how to create a tool that is a light tool. You basically imagine a bar of light, and you assign colors to all aspects of your body: the cardiovascular system, the muscle system, a skeleton, skin, nervous. All of them have different colors that resemble something along the lines of chakras. Now, chakras are more dots and parts of your body here. This is, for example, the nervous system has a separate color, or the muscular system has a separate color. And using this light tool, you will actually be able to focus on what is wrong, if there is anything wrong, and you'll be able to heal it quicker. Because if you focus on something, it will become more apparent and more in your reality. If you focus on a cut, it hurts more. If you distract yourself, it doesn't. There's a reason for that. Because as you're focusing on something that hurts, you're giving attention to that, and the nerve endings are firing more rapidly. In the same instance, you can send white blood cells there quicker than normal. You could communicate with other people telepathically. For instance, native tribes in Africa used to do this through lucid dreaming. They would lucid dream of a tree, and they would snap into lucid dreaming. They would dream of a tree, and they would say that they wanted to meet, say, Joey by the tree at 3 p.m. or when the sun was at 3. Joey would have the same dream. You would wake up, you would run to the tree, and they would be there. So you could schedule meetings through your dreams. This is documented. This is perfectly true. This is not pseudoscience. Because what I've learned as I'm getting older is there's more and more questions that human beings simply don't have the answer to. When we're younger, they simply avoid this conveniently, so we don't ask these questions. But nobody knows how the Sphinx was built and who built it. Nobody knows why there's 70-ton granite rocks at the top of the King's Chamber in Giza pyramids, how they got there, for instance. Nobody knows how they got to the pyramids from 500 kilometers away. There's hundreds of different theories, but nobody knows exactly how it happened. We just simply go with the best sounding one, or the one that has the least pushback. For instance, nobody knows that the center of the earth is molten iron. We can speculate, we can do calculations, but until someone digs a hole and actually sees this, we're never going to be able to know for sure. Do we know what the moon is behind me? Me and you probably don't. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong probably do, because even if you believe that they never went up there, they know that it's not accessible. They know more than we do. But if they did go up there, then they do know what it is. You know what I mean? The cool thing about this is that Robert Monroe did something that Alan Watts did. He took Eastern philosophy, Eastern religion, and he modernized it to the Western world. Because the culture is different. The way of life is different, so the mentality will be different from Eastern and Western cultures. So it's hard for us sometimes to understand what they're talking about if we've never heard of it before. But Alan Watts put it in a way that everybody could, any typical old redneck could understand. And same thing with Robert Monroe. While you could sit there and listen to somebody that tells you about tantric meditation and kundalini, and you'll just look to yourself, what are you talking about? When Monroe talks about it, it's a lot more approachable. So essentially that's what it is. And I'm not going to get into it too much with you because all you have to do is listen to the tapes. He literally goes over everything you need to go. But that is kind of like an overview of where it started. You could actually follow the Monroe Institute on YouTube, and you can get the gateway without me having to give it to you. In fact, like I said, if you're interested in this, go to his website or find the Wave 1, the orientation, and then the second session. Do those sessions about 5 times each. And if you can get to the point where you're in Focus 1 or Focus 3, which is a deeper state of trance that you are self-induced, then we'll chat. Thanks.